There's no greater technology than me. You dig?
And when we destroy it, we will blast a crater in their racial memory so deep that they won't come within 1,000 clicks of this place ever again. And that, too, is a fact. Yeah!
Each pin on this map marks the location of an attack on Black Americans and their communities from the Civil War into the 1900s. It's no accident you're unlikely to find many of these in American history textbooks. There's been a concerted effort to whitewash and cover many of them up. But while some of the stories may have been scrubbed from the records and textbooks throughout history, survivors and their descendants are speaking out, shedding light on the violent events that took place in their communities and exposing the lingering social and economic damage caused by some of the worst racial violence in American history.
Shout out to the younger generation, this newer generation that's willing to objectively look at the issues that have actually taken place. I appreciate that.
After the American Civil War, the country entered a period known as Reconstruction, during which it set about reintegrating the Confederate States and nearly 4 million newly freed enslaved people. But African Americans were hardly given a foundation on which to build their new lives after the war. No reparations were paid to the formerly enslaved for what they and their families had endured for generations.
No reparations. No reparations was paid, and it's still being refused to be paid. And I'm sure that this has something to do with the genetic memory, man, and the reason why that we feel so hunted, or I don't know the word.
Many had been told they'd be given a small plot of land to get started on, and while there were plans to allocate some land to the formerly enslaved after the war, such as Special Field Order Number 15, much of the land seized by Union forces or promised to African Americans was later given back to white Southern citizens, ex-slave owners, and to white Northern entrepreneurs.
See, there's always been a violation of treaties and agreements and contracts, and this is who Joe Biden is. He's of the same ilk. He shares the same philosophy.
There was this proliferation of these events that were called race riots. They were mainly assault on black communities.
And that, too, is a fact.
Yeah! It was in New York and Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Memphis, and Omaha, and Chicago, and D.C. Summer and fall of 1919 was dubbed by James Weldon Johnson, who was with the NAACP, as Red Summer. Red is a metaphorical reference to blood that flowed through the streets from all this violence post-World War I. The other thing that's happening during this period is lynching. Lynching is simply a form of domestic terrorism aimed more often.
It is domestic terrorism, but now nobody wants to be called that because it is what it is. And look at the different generations just smiling, having a good time. Just, this fucker looks like Hitler. A little Hitler. He looks psychotic in his eyes. Grandma's there. It's just a family gathering. They just pick a nigger, string him up. It's just... So is this why it's just goddamn force field? There's some psychological chains in my brain and in my body from what's happened to my ancestors?
We will blast a crater in their racial memory so deep that they won't come within 1,000 clicks of this place ever again.
It's irritating. And I'm more so irritated at myself. But if you know anything about how to train an elephant,
we will blast a crater in their racial memory so deep that they won't come within 1,000 clicks of this place ever again.
And these people understand this, but yet and still they want us to turn our brains off. Oh no, don't you think? That was a long time ago.
More often than not, at black folks. The real aim is to strike fear in the hearts and minds of a group. black folks in this case.
And that, too, is a fact.
Black folks knew and stayed in their place. And so lynching was running rampant. So looters came in and pillaged homes of finery like jewelry and expensive items that some of the more wealthy residents of the community had owned.
The Tulsa and Elaine massacres were not isolated incidents. They were just two of many, and they were representative of a broad backlash to the social status of black people in the United States. The goal of attacks like these, historians say, was to maintain white supremacy by any means necessary. And the effects of these attacks on black communities can still be seen and felt today.
You know, some people...
I'm so glad you said that. Seen and felt. And I'm telling you, it's felt. It's just absurd to me. It's angering and infuriating because it hurts, right? Because anytime that your humanity is minimized, it hurts and it's going to infuriate you. So, man, so shout out to Forbes for doing this. This is...
We'll say, well, slavery ended years ago, or even, segregation ended years ago. That's in the past. Why are you dredging up the past? Well, the past isn't the past. And I think of my whole body of research that I've done, looking at different events all across the world, you find this over and over and over, that the effects of the past linger and they have consequences. And in general, if these events are historically important enough, they shape the way the world is today.
Well said, my friend. Woo. Well said.
After killing our babies and using them to catch alligators, they taunted us and teased us, made novelty items and trinkets and postcards, used them in cartoons, images of black babies being killed and hunted by alligators. They showed no remorse. For them, it was another one of those get-over-it moments.
We will blast a crater in their racial memory so deep that they won't come within 1,000 clicks of this place ever again.
We can do whatever we want to you. No remorse. No remorse.
And that, too, is a fact. Yeah!
No remorse. And for all of the items that they made, they sold. So there were buyers, people who thought it was a good idea to own these items.
Hurts your heart when you think about it. Hurts your heart.
To have them in their possession. To remind them of how much they hated our people by killing.
What else could do that? I mean, it's beyond a hatred. It's a demonic anger. And it reverberates. It reverberates now.
Killing our babies, feeding them to alligators. No remorse. And the descendants of these people are the same way. No regard for black lives. Black lives do not matter in this country.
And that, too, is a fact. Yeah!